Welcome back to the Horn Takes podcast. I am Sean Redfern. Joining me tonight again from the cheap seats, Michelle Lynn. How are we doing tonight, Michelle?
Doing good. Texas win. Woo!
Yeah, Texas gets a win. It was man, that was a wild one, and I don't know if you got a chance to watch the whole show on Sunday. I know you were taking care of a sick little girl, but man, I feel like you could feel the emotional roller coaster for me during that show, and that was literally what I felt the entire. I mean, that was like the craziest Saturday I feel like I've ever felt in a very long time watching Texas football. Just absolutely, completely, 100% nuts. I can't imagine anybody getting out of that one and not going like, "Oh my God, like what the hell just happened?" Because that's how I felt. How did you feel during all that? We didn't get a chance to talk to you. How did you feel?
I can't believe it. The ESPN analytics predictor, it had us at like a 1.5% chance to win when there was 10 minutes left. I mean, we were down. We were dead to rights. They had us dead to rights, and we somehow snuck in.
So we scored a touchdown there in the I believe it was in the fourth quarter. Yeah, we scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Yeah. And then on 3rd and freaking 10 or something, they get that crazy shuttle pass for a touchdown of like 60. And I'm like, man, that's the game. That's it. Like
when that happened, it was over.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I said, "Oh my God, it's over." And then turned around and said, "Oh shit, we got a chance now." On Saturday. It was just completely wild. We could spend the whole hour talking about that, but we won't do it. We're going to jump ahead. But before we do that, check out our friends over at ChinookSeedery.com. 8 great flavors, the best seeds ever. Man, they're really good. I love them. Use our promo code HORNTAKES. You get 10% off your order over there at ChinookSeedery.com. Those guys are Texas company, which is one reason I love them. They really support college baseball, which is another reason I love them. And the third reason I love them, honestly, swear to God, those seeds are really, really good. So if you like seeds at all, check those out. And seeds aren't just for baseball. They're for football too. And they're for watching games like we had last weekend, where you just have to, like, if you're not a smoker or, a drinker or something, but you got to have something. Maybe you don't like to chew gum. I don't know. Those things will keep you grounded, I feel like. Maybe, possibly. I'm not sure. So anyway, go check those guys out. Before we jump into this week's game, and I think we're going to start with like the state of the program, kind of. We're 2/3 of the way through the season. We haven't really stepped back and talked about just where the program sits. But before we do that, it's kind of a sad note. A really, really big time, great Texas Longhorn, Scott Wilson, has been placed on hospice. For those of you guys that don't know, he was on his way to Gainesville, Florida. Had some sort of heart incident, I believe, at the airport there in Jacksonville. Has been in ICU over in Jacksonville since then. And I just saw something late last night from his sister, who's kind of been manning his Facebook account, that they've decided to go ahead and put him on hospice. So be with have your thoughts and prayers for the family. This is a great Longhorn. This guy has been to every single Texas football game since 1977. I was born in 1977. I'm 48 years old. This guy has gone to every single game since then, up until that Florida game. He's been to over 1,500 straight Texas baseball games, here, there, College World Series, doesn't matter. This is a Texas Longhorn. So anyway, I thought that was noteworthy. There's not a lot of fans like that. And I have actually met Scott. He's a really great guy. So, our thoughts are with the family. They're all out there in Florida with him. So, I don't know what else to say about it. That's a tough deal. But Scott was definitely a big time Longhorn. So hook 'em, Scott. Pray for the family. And with that said, we will get that out of the way. I don't like that kind of stuff, but I thought this was definitely like a must for a guy like Scott Wilson.
For sure.
Michelle, let's talk state of the program. Texas sitting 6-2, not where we thought we'd be. Probably. I think most people might have given up that Ohio State game. It's early in the season, but I don't think a lot of people thought we were going to go to Florida and lose that one. Some people outside of Texas ranks did, so give those guys credit. The haters were right on that. And I definitely don't think anybody thought we would struggle with Kentucky, struggle on the road with Mississippi State the way we have these last 2 weeks. So it's kind of like we're 6-2, not exactly where we wanted to be. But I think the crazy part is like the easy part's over for us. Like this is where it starts to get really tough. And this was probably not something you could necessarily predict at the beginning of the year. Well, maybe it really, to me, like the only sort of outlier in this final 4 games is that Vanderbilt team, which I think a lot of people figured would be okay. You know, they were good last year. I don't think a lot of people figured they'd be as good as they are actually this year. So this next 4 games, 3 of the 4 against top 10 teams. Michelle, talk to us about your thoughts. 2/3 in. What do you think about this team? What should we expect the next 4 games?
I think what's so wild about this team is that the more games they play, the less I know about them. Like, I guess every game has been so different that I don't know if we're a good team or if we're a bad team or if we're an average team. And I think we're just kind of a combo of all 3. You never know which one is going to show up.
Yeah, you've seen bits of all 3 of those things. You've seen a team. I mean, the fourth quarter last Saturday was a team that is really good, clearly, like very talented, very able to execute in key situations. We saw it offensively. We saw it defensively.
Yeah.
But then you look at other stretches in that game and you saw a bad team that couldn't do anything, couldn't play complementary football at all. And then we've seen the average, you know, probably for most of the year. I feel like we've seen a team, to me, that has really just not consistently met their potential. And I think for Texas fans, at least for me, that's what's so frustrating about this team so far. But I think it's also a reason to have hope about this team. Like if this team can figure it out and put it all together these last 4 games, talent-wise, roster-wise, this is a team that can win 4 games down the stretch and put themselves in the playoff, which is something, man, I don't think a lot of people feel like they can do at this point.
Right. And I think what's so unique about this team is kind of what you were saying. When the talent does pop, you're like, they could hang with anybody. And they really have hung with everybody, with Ohio State, with Florida. They were fighting the whole time. Like they have shown the ability to just stick around. And so to me, it feels like they're just chipping away. They are finding a way to win. And I know Sark talked about in the press conference after the game, you know, it's not necessarily sustainable, but at the end of the day, they're figuring out a way to win. And I think I saw some key things last week starting to sort of come to the surface that are really positive going forward. I think Emmett Mosley, he's healthy now and he's really good. Really, really good. I thought something that was really cool to see in the third quarter that Bobby Burton was actually the one who pointed it out and then made me go back and rewatch. I think it was like right before the fourth quarter started or ended third quarter. Arch Manning and Anthony Hill, player-led, got everybody together. And you could see they were just chipping at everyone, hyping everybody up. And, you know, we were down really bad at that point. And to me, that is super cool to see Arch taking on that role. Of course, seeing Anthony Hill do that too. Like that is huge. You know, I think Arch is really coming into his own. I hate that he got the concussion at the end of the game because then everybody's like, oh, Caldwell won it for us. I'm like, okay. We love Matthew Caldwell. I love what he did for us. But Arch Manning brought us back. He put his body on the line on that run. I really think that Arch is, I know that the Kentucky game was tough, but I think he's starting to string together more consistently games where he's putting on like really positive tape versus negative tape with like the past 3 out of 4 games, I would say have been really positive for him with Florida, OU, and then last week, you know, whereas at the beginning it was like, oh, maybe 1 quarter of every game would be okay, aside from the Sam Houston State game. So those are things like with Arch Manning and with Emmett Mosley, another weapon to maybe alleviate pressure off of Wingo of being wide receiver one. Those are really positive things. I thought that Connor Stroh did a really good job. I think that the offensive line, it is what it is. They're just going to keep going with the hot hand. But I thought when it mattered in the fourth quarter, they did what they needed to do. And so there are just things that are starting to go and click that make me really excited and think that, the season, we really do have all of our goals ahead of us. And, curious to see what's going to happen. I could see it going. We lose all of them. I could see
I mean, we could
2-2. It could all happen.
Yeah, I posted a poll, and we'll talk about it a little later. I
Mhm.
posted a poll, and that's what it was. Like, what do you think the final 4 games record for Texas is? And most people, I feel like, think it's in the 2-2, maybe 3-1 range. There were some people that said 4-0, which I don't. I mean, it wouldn't surprise. I mean, I don't, like you said. And here, well, I'm gonna throw a good comment up right here. Our friend Devin from the Girl Herd. It's choose your own adventure right now. It's like the book where you tell the story, and hopefully these Texas Longhorns will tell the great story over these next 4 games. But that's true. I feel like every Saturday is like I'm in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory or something. Like, I don't, it's just different. It's weird. It's fun though. And I talked about that on the show on Sunday about how these games are fun. I mean, they're exciting. I don't know how much I can do of this. Like, I don't know if I can do this 4 more weekends and maybe hopefully additional weekends after that. But right now it's kind of, I mean, it was kind of fun on Saturday to go through all that emotion and be done at the end of it. And kind of, I kind of look over at my wife on the patio and go, like, I can't believe we won that game. Like, I'm completely shocked that we were able to do that. So there's good and bad parts of what's going on. I think let's go back to the offense real quick. We've talked about the running game a ton. It's like non-existent. They could not do it against Mississippi State. They tried early a little bit. They were able to have some success with a couple of different types of runs. And then they kind of went back to the old, like, let's run sideways thing. And it just did not work out. And I just think, part of it is just, it's hard on offensive linemen. It's hard on the running backs. It's just a different type of concept. So the offense has just kind of been what is going, like, sometimes it looks good, sometimes it's bad. The defense has been really good on the whole, but we've seen a couple letdowns on the road. The Florida game was a pretty big letdown for me defensively. And I thought against Mississippi State, even though they showed up when it mattered, like, you could say they showed up when it mattered, right? They did in that fourth quarter. But the other part of the game was like, well, we shouldn't have given up all that. So so it's like a mixed bag. Special teams has been a huge weapon this year, whereas last year it was a huge liability. We've seen Ryan Niblett just absolutely explode onto the scene. If you didn't know who Ryan Niblett was 3 weeks ago, you certainly know who he is now if you pay attention to college football at all. And by the way, again, shout out to Michelle, who's been talking up Ryan Niblett for a lot of this season already. I don't know if you willed it into existence or you just saw it and nobody else did and it happened, but he's been a godsend so far for this last few weeks for sure.
I think for me, it was just in the first few weeks, even though his hands, you could tell he wasn't confident in fielding the punts, but whenever he would go, I mean, he would just burst. And so it was like, okay, I felt like, all right, if he can just get more comfortable in terms of like, okay, I can catch this and now I can go. I felt like he had the speed and the vision to be able to break away. And there was also just some people who I had posted a video about him on my TikTok, and somebody from his high school actually reached out to me and said, trust me, he's gonna break through. He did this and this and this on our football team. So I just had a feeling, those guys who are super speedy, Sark just has a way of unlocking them. Like with Xavier Worthy, I think he was a 5-star recruit potentially, but no one really talked about him. And then, I mean, he's fastest guy. He's got the record at the combine. Like, Sark can just really pull out these speedy guys and really maximize their talent. So I'm still waiting for them to use him more on the offense because nobody's going to kick to him anymore if they can help it. So we need to get that speed involved, you know, whether it's in the running back or wherever they want to make it happen on offense.
Yeah, what was really interesting about the game on Saturday is I tweeted out sometime during the fourth quarter. And when I watch these games, guys, I'm not watching it with like, you know, video eyes on. I'm not trying to figure out what's happening. I'm literally watching this as a fan. I'm enjoying the game. I'm having some drinks, you know, all the things that I would do if I was at the game. You know, I'm doing on my patio or wherever I'm at when I'm watching these games on Saturday. And I tweeted out at some point in the fourth quarter, like the offensive line just magically figured out how to pass block. And then what I'll do is I go back and watch the game again and try to look for things. And what I noticed, and I hope, man, I think and I hope Sark might have figured out like what the style of offense needs to be to fit the personnel that he's got on this team, because they went spread almost exclusively in the fourth quarter of that game. They dropped a tight end, they added a wide receiver. Not only that, but they spread them out across the field. It was not, you know, we've seen him bring in multiple, you know, 3 wide receivers before, but he plays a lot of bunch, you know, real tight to the line, real tight to the offensive line. He went like Texas Tech on Mississippi State almost on Saturday in that fourth quarter. And what that did was it pulled guys out of the box. If you go back and look at that replay of that game, early in the game, he's got these 2 tight end sets. He's got wide receivers playing in tight. He's trying to run the ball with all this. He's trying, you know, it's not a bad idea. He's trying to find these mismatches, right? But what it caused was all these guys in the box, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys right there in front of the line of scrimmage, right there in front of that offensive line. And they just get confused. When you spread the field like that, people have to tip their hand. They have to tell you, I'm in the secondary, but I'm coming on a blitz. Or I'm the linebacker and I'm going to be in coverage. They have to tell you that by the way you're lining up. And I think that helped that offensive line so much in that fourth quarter because they didn't have to think as much. They didn't have to figure out where the pressure was coming from. You can look up and see where it's coming from. And so it'll be interesting to see for me on Saturday as Vanderbilt comes to town. What does Sark roll out there? Does Sark go back to the 12 personnel that he likes to run? He loves 2 tight ends, 1 back. Or does he go to that 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 back, 3 wide receivers? Does he spread it out? The other thing I think that'll do, and we saw it a little bit, even though we were behind, when we did run the ball in the fourth quarter, we were able to pick up pretty good chunks of yardage because there's not as many people in the way. It's kind of like you create holes by alignment. And so, yeah, for me, I'm sitting there watching this. And once I finally figured it out and saw what I thought I might be seeing, I was like, yes, I like this. I think and I think Arch came alive. I think Arch was able to see the defense a lot better. It was easy reads. He was, you know, he was seeing it. He was making the right throws accurately. I hope that's what we see the rest of this year. And I know we'll have to deviate it. It won't be exclusively what we do, but I think if we can go to that like 80% of the time, maybe even, I think you're going to see this offense continue to grow. And I think the offensive line will be able to block in the run game. And then you become just a way more balanced team, which we've been talking about all year. If you can stay balanced, it's hard. So I hope that's what we see offensively.
I hope so too. I think the tricky part is we've talked about it a lot the past few weeks, ever since Onwar asked, you know, the question about, you know, would he ever hire a play caller? Is Sark can be a little stubborn with his playbook, but I'm hopeful that, you know, because all of the goals are in front of them and he's maybe started to see Rod Babers, I saw, called it crisis mode. He's seen how successful this team is when he does use the spread offense. And this isn't just unique to Mississippi State. This has been over multiple games throughout the season. So that maybe would hopefully help him just to tweak it, maybe a little bit, please, Sark. But
Yeah, or at least mix it
I
up
don't
some, right?
know.
Like,
Right.
but I thought it was interesting. He said in his presser, and I didn't see this until a day or two later, but he
Mhm.
talked about we had to. Like, we
Yeah.
had to do that. We were behind. We
Mhm.
had to do that. I feel like this team maybe, and I think you saw Pete Kwiatkowski do some stuff late in that
Mhm.
game that he generally doesn't. I mean, we came on 2 blitzes in a row. I don't think I can remember the last time we've sent pressure 2 times in a row. It's just
Mhm.
not what he does that much.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've done it. I'm sure we've done it this year, but you just don't see it a lot. And so I think that's noteworthy that we kind of got into this position where we were behind and we had to do certain things.
Mhm.
So to me, I'm like, well, and they performed really well. So if we
Yeah, they
had to
did
do
really
it
good.
and
Make
they
these
did it really
adjustments.
well, let's make that part of what we try to
Mhm.
do. And again, you can't do the same things over and over and expect to be successful at this level. But man,
Mhm.
I thought the offense clearly came alive. Arch
Yeah.
Manning came alive. It just looked like a completely different team to me. And it wasn't because the stakes were low. It wasn't because everybody was calm and collected and they had talks on the sideline. Part of it was probably that, but it was because
Mhm.
they were put in a position to be successful. And so, man, I don't know. I got hope. Part of me goes back to what you just said, though, Michelle. Like, man, Sark's
Mhm.
kind of stubborn, and he wants to do what
Real
he wants to
stubborn.
do. It'll be
Yeah.
kind of cool to see what they do Saturday with Vanderbilt coming to town. I think notably as well, we saw Arch and Taff. We've heard Arch and Taff have practiced this week. Taff
Mhm.
all week. Arch came back today, I
Mhm.
believe. So
Yeah.
he's still in protocol, but at least he's advanced in the protocol to the point where he can
Right.
be on the field and go through non-contact and things like that. So I
Mhm.
think that's a positive sign. We saw him get pulled over by the Austin PD, so clearly he's not in. I think Arch Manning has had more problems with the Austin PD for just small stuff like parking in the wrong spot or
Mhm.
whatever he
He's
got pulled over for.
Yeah. He's been
Maybe they
very
just
open
wanted an
that
autograph.
He's been very open that he's always getting parking tickets. He's like, "Yeah, sometimes my dad will call me and be like, 'You got another parking ticket. They billed me for it,' things like
Yeah,
that," which is hilarious because Austin parking is terrible. So, I mean, I really can't fault him. It's hard. It's a
yeah,
hard world
parking is
out
terrible on campus for sure. So
there.
let's wrap up this sort of I don't know where we're at, state of the program right now. Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel right now about this team? What is your confidence level going forward with 4 games left on the schedule?
So, I feel pretty confident that I could see a path where this team goes 3-1. And I can see a path where going 3-1 on this stretch is actually good enough to sneak into the playoffs if things fall a certain way.
Yeah,
Obviously, we wouldn't go in the SEC championship game, but I could see it being good enough to maybe be like the 11th or 12th seed, just because that would mean we would have beaten a ranked top 10 ranked Vanderbilt, um, Georgia at Georgia, and then we'd either have lost to like or one of our losses, I'm sorry, I'm like losing track. One of our losses would have been to like an A&M, a Georgia, or Vanderbilt, who are all three in the top 10. So I think that would be viewed as a good loss. And I don't know, it just depends on what happens to everybody else. So I can really
yeah,
see us going 3-1 and dropping one of those games. I think that'd be awesome. Um, it's hard for me to see a path of going 4-0. I just think we kind of live on the ledge a lot. So I
yeah,
just don't know if that can happen. But I feel pretty hopeful for a 3-1 finish. And I would be, as a fan, I would be happy with that because my expectations going into the season, of course, I wanted us to go to the playoffs, but I did think it was unrealistic thinking we were just going to shoot to the national championship with
yeah,
so much turnover, especially on the offensive side. So I, as a fan, would be happy with that, and I think it would teeter borderline playoffs. Which I think that's kind of how we are as a team. Like, I don't really see us as like a high tier playoff team, but like I see us on the bubble,
Yeah.
especially with the flashes we show. But I
Yeah,
don't
I think
know.
that's fair. Our man Joe got the availability report, the first one
Mhm.
tonight. Looks
Oh,
like
perfect.
Arch Manning, Michael Taft, Edge Lance
Mhm.
Jackson, and O line Cole Hudson are all questionable. And
Okay.
then Aaron Butler's a guy that's been out. He's been
Mhm.
out the last
Yeah.
few weeks. Hasn't showed up much this year at all, but he's one of the young wide receivers, certainly
Mhm.
with a lot of talent. Yeah, we'll see how that changes as we go through. Thanks for that, Joe. Yeah, as I look at this team, I'm kind of the same way you. I personally do not think 3-1. I feel like this team has to run the table to get in the playoff, and that's a
Yeah.
combination of just. I feel like to me, the way the college football world sees this team right now is not super positive.
Mhm.
So I think they're kind of looking for any reason to just say Texas is out of it at this
Yeah,
point.
that's
And I
fair.
don't mean that like as it's a conspiracy against us type of thing. I
Right.
just think it's just how the team has performed this year. A lot of people are just not excited about Texas. And so I
Mhm.
think if they do get that loss, and I don't even necessarily think it matters to who, because as you pointed out, we're going to play more than likely. We got 3 top 10 teams remaining
Mhm.
on the schedule. But I think Texas is going to have to go handle business against all 4 of these teams to get in the playoff because I haven't looked at the schedules for the teams that are ahead of them in the SEC yet, which is really
Mhm.
the competition I feel like to get into the
Yeah.
playoff. Uh, but I feel like there's teams that are in really good position right now, and it's going to take
There
kind of
are,
like
yeah.
a monumental meltdown by somebody, and Texas making that 3-1 over the course of the last 4 games. It would kind of
Mhm.
be just a weird deal. There's a lot of people that think
Yeah.
3-1 gets them in. I disagree at this point, but I mean, stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it automatically gets them in. What I think though is there's a chance, and if there's an upset or two, I think that Texas would get in. Because also remember, the people who are choosing the playoffs is a closed door meeting, and sometimes entertainment is a factor. I mean, that was
yeah,
why the whole Florida State didn't get in back when it was the four teams. Alabama
right.
snuck in there, even though Florida State was undefeated. Like you just don't know what's going to go into their decisions. It's not super transparent, even though they say this is how we do it. I don't know if that's actually how they do it. But you're right. Like we would need a lot to happen if we were to go 3-1
Yeah.
to get into the playoffs. But I definitely think, I mean, Sark has been talking about it all year that fans are going to have to get used to a 9-3 team, like getting into the playoffs or being a successful season. I
Yeah,
could
I mean, we'll
definitely
see.
see a world where Arch Manning's UT team is the 9-3 team that they put into the playoffs. I could see it.
Yeah, I think I could get down with that. Like I
Yeah,
just, but as you said, I think a lot of things need to happen. I think the big
for
point
sure.
is for this Texas team, they've got to continue just to take it a week at a time,
Mhm.
because the margin of error, if there is a margin of error, is very very razor thin for this Texas team at this point.
Mhm.
A lot of people. The debate is, oh, they're scheduling all these tough. I do not think going to Columbus, Ohio, and losing 14-7 to the defending national champs and current number 1 team in the country is going to hurt Texas at all. I think going
Mhm.
on the road to Florida and pissing down your leg against a team that has since fired their coach, if they
Uh,
don't get in, if they go
that's
3-1 and they don't get in, that's why they didn't get in.
yeah,
And it'll be
yeah.
that. It'll be a combination of Kentucky taking them to overtime, Mississippi State taking them to overtime. People,
Mhm.
people will look at that stuff and I mean, and who knows? Texas may come out and beat people by 40 points the rest of the way when they do win. We just don't know.
Love
So
it.
there's a lot of season to play. Nothing's off the
Mhm.
table, I think.
Yeah.
And I still kind of go into these last 4 games thinking to myself, like, we don't know what this team can do. I think, like, they can go win all 4 of these games. Will they? It depends on which group shows up every Saturday, like you said at the top of the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely setting up to be kind of a wild finish for the Texas Longhorns. And let's talk about where it starts. Saturday morning, 11 o'clock on ABC, number 9 Vanderbilt. That's so crazy to me to say. Number 9 Vanderbilt coming into town to play number 20 Texas. Texas is favored by 1.5 points. The last time I looked, I think it opened at 3.5 points, and I think probably the line shift is due to Arch Manning. You know, not people not knowing whether he's going to play or not. If they come out and say Arch Manning's going to play, which at some point they're going to have to, that line's going to creep right back up to 3.5 more than likely. Last weather I looked at, possible rain chances on Saturday, not heavy, not crazy, but great football weather aside from that. 71 degrees for the high.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful down in Austin if it doesn't rain, and even if it does rain, it might be beautiful as well. I whatever. But this is not your grandpa's Vandy team. Like, this is, I don't know how much you have seen Vandy this year, Michelle, but I've seen them a few times, and they do not look like what we remember as Vandy. So I think it's real interesting, this team coming to town. Clark Lee has done an absolutely amazing job there, getting some guys in there and just getting them to believe and getting them to play as a team. And you know, that's like half the battle, I think, at that level is building that culture. And he's certainly done that. What are your thoughts on this Vanderbilt team?
I like this Vanderbilt team. Of course, I want us to kick their butt this weekend, but I really enjoy their story. You can tell that they have taken on the identity of Pavia, and that goes back to last year. Like, I was watching them every week last year. I haven't been able to keep up quite as much this season, but I mean, they're just always willing to fight. And I guess I understand why some people are a little annoyed with some of Pavia's comments. He can be a little off-putting, I guess, is how some people might see it, just with his confidence. But the thing is, he genuinely believes it, and he's made his teammates around him genuinely believe it. And I mean, they could beat any team on any day. It doesn't even matter to them, you know, where they came from, where they transferred from, where they went to high school, things like that. And to me, it's really refreshing to see just like the true team camaraderie. They're not an underdog anymore. Like, we need to stop playing the underdog card. Like, y'all are in the top 10. Get out of here with that. But it's really cool. It's so fun. I don't know if you watch the SEC short skits, but they made that, you know, character, the pimp Vandy. And I mean, I love it. It's really fun. And I think that's what, you know, when you hire the right coach, that's what it can bring to a program. So all of these teams that have fired their coaches, they hope that they can catch that sort of lightning in a bottle, because it can really change everything. You know, suddenly Vandy probably has NIL too. Suddenly donors are like, oh yeah, I'll donate to the football program.
I'll pay some money.
That's what happened. So I think it's a great story. I hope that we crush that story on Saturday.
Absolutely.
At least, you know, put a little damper in it, but it's really cool. One of the sports betting shows too that I watch, his name is Stuckey. I've referenced his stats before in the past. And it was last season. He was the one who first got me onto Diego. And anytime he would be talking about who Vanderbilt was playing, he'd play the like "Go Diego, Go" song, and was like, Diego, Diego. And I mean, they just kept covering. So I'm like, okay, now I need to actually watch this team. So it's been a fun story, but I do think that Texas matches up really well with this team though. So I do expect us to win, but you know, they're having their fun in the sun.
Yeah, it's really cool to see Vanderbilt be good, because I can't think of a single time that Vanderbilt has been this good. And you go back and you look at a guy like Diego Pavia. Yeah, he's a polarizing guy. I personally can't stand anything about him off the field. even like from like the snap to the whistle. I don't jive with, like, it's just not my mentality the way he is. But between snap to whistle, I love watching him. He's like he's almost like a Baker Mayfield type guy to me. I'm the same way with Baker Mayfield. If Baker Mayfield would just stop being an idiot, like between plays and like after games and all that, he might be like the most favorite player I've ever seen because I love watching him play. Pavia is a lot the same way. He's 69% passing this year, almost 1,700 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 INTs. He's added another 550 on the ground with 5 rushing touchdowns. And I think the interesting thing, like last year, they kind of went as Pavia went, like solely.
Yeah.
I still feel like they go as Pavia goes, but he's got some guys. You look at like Eli Stowers and Cole Spence, the tight ends. They're both really big, targets for him. Wide receiver Junior Sherrill, he can get down the field and make some big plays. The ground game is really like, listen to this. Pavia is the leading rusher for this team, but the tailback, Cedric Alexander, 5.3 yards per carry. The backup tailback, Macklin Young, 12.3 yards per carry. Some kid that comes in every once in a while, James L. Lassiter, 18 yards per carry. Like, they are ripping off like some big chunks of yardage when they do run the football. And to me, that tells me that the offensive line is really good. Despite not having names and lots of star value and all that type of stuff along that offensive line, they're really good. They're really good in pass protection. They're really good in run blocking. So the offense it's more complete to me than it was last year, which is dangerous because they were pretty dangerous last year. I mean, we saw them. That was a crazy game out in Nashville last year, but they kept hanging and they kept scoring. And I was sitting there watching that one thinking to myself, are we fixing to find a way to lose this game? A game we had pretty good control of late, just kind of starting slipping away. And a lot of that was Pavia making plays. And he's one of those guys that just offhand makes plays, like he's playing in his backyard or playing in the street with his friends. And so it's fun to watch. It won't be fun to watch this weekend if he makes a lot of plays, but we'll hope that doesn't continue this week. But and then I flip over to the defense. CJ Hurd's their leading tackler, really good safety. Edge Miles Capers is a guy that's got tons of tackles for loss, tons of sacks. Brian Longwell, a really good linebacker for them. So they've got players kind of at every, we talked earlier in the year about this Texas defense having guys at every level that were kind of stars. This Vandy team, they don't have the names, they don't have the stars, they don't have all the things that the Texas guys have, but they've got the results on the field. They're playing really well. So yeah, this Vandy team, and I've been saying it for weeks now, this Vandy team like frightens the hell out of me. It's perfect that this one's the day after Halloween because that's a scary team.
Yeah, I think it's going to be brutal, like they're not the type of team that lets anybody just sort of run away from them. Like even on their bad days, they're going to keep it close and they're just going to hang around just like they did last year. They just kept hanging around. And even last season when they didn't have quite as strong a team, there were very few games where they just were out of it, So again, that just goes to the mentality that their quarterback brings to him. He is always saying, oh, we can win this. And so everybody around him believes it, so we're going to have our hands full,
they kind of play a little brand of that Kentucky we talked about, like where they try to suck you into like some, they're way better at it, but it's like, it's kind of slow and it's kind of ugly. It's almost like just like a boa constrictor. Once it gets a hold of you, it just kind of works on you. And it's hard to get away from them. And so I think, as we go into this game, it'll be important for Texas to not take the opportunity, make the best of opportunities they can get to like sort of get out of that ugly game, get out of that constricting, space that Vanderbilt wants to keep you in. I think, a couple questions for me as we keep moving forward here is, for Texas, I think the big question is, does Arch clear protocol? I mean, I think that's a big one. Matt Caldwell has come in. We gave him his kudos on Sunday. He comes in, he throws a touchdown pass in overtime. That cannot be easy at all, but we haven't seen a ton of Matt Caldwell. We don't know how Matt Caldwell will respond to, hey, dude, you're the starter tomorrow. Like, you got to go get it done. That's a big difference between being, knowing you're the starter and just going, hey, bud, you got to get in the game. So-and-so's hurt. Let's
Right.
go play and finish the game. That's a big difference. And so he's an experienced guy. I'm not so much worried about that. But I feel like we saw a lot of Arch growth late in that game Saturday. I think that's the type of thing that he can carry on the momentum into a game like Saturday. And then I think the other thing, and we talked about it a little earlier, is like whoever plays quarterback, like what is the game plan offensively? Are we going to go back to the 12 personnel and try to do what we've been trying to do all year? Or is Sark just seen the light and just goes, you know what? This isn't who I want to be, but I got a Texas Tech offense. Let's get it. Let's crank it up. Let's move quickly. Let's throw the ball down the field. Let's get it out quick. And that's exactly what they did the whole fourth quarter. And man, part of that situational. I mean, Mississippi State did some things that they probably wish they could go back and change. Just schematically on defense, but hey, Texas again, they had to do it and they did it well. Right. So that's all the things I think about question wise as we head into this one. Michelle, let's talk keys. What are your 3 keys for the game on Saturday?
So my first key is I really hope we get Michael Taft back. I think he is a huge just key in general to the defense. So seeing that he's listed as questionable is a really good sign that he'll be there. You could just tell that there were communication things, and we had talked about this. He is the lead communicator, the leader. He gets people into assignments, and even though they had practiced it with other guys, it's just totally different once you're in the game. And so I think having him back on the field, even if he's not 100%, will be really helpful just from a communication standpoint, and probably also just helps other players to know, like, okay, well, I know Taft's got my back, So I think having his presence will be great, because my second key is we have to contain Diego Pavia. I wish I could remember who had put these stats on Twitter. I can't remember whose account it was. But when he's forced to just throw the ball against ranked opponents, his completion percentage goes from 70% to 59%, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, kind of just a jag, just a regular guy. So we need to be able to contain him from being able to rush, get pressure on him, make him uncomfortable. He's willing to throw the ball up and will throw interceptions. So super important for us to just really get after him and don't let him control the game. We need to control him. And then I think my third key is just for whichever quarterback we have, we've got to keep them upright. And that doesn't mean the offensive line needs to play great or not let anybody through or anything like that. We just need to keep in mind that if Arch Manning had a concussion last week and he starts, okay, well, we don't want his head to hit the turf again. So we need to play really fast, get the ball out, things like that. If it's Matthew Caldwell, well, you're just one hit away from it being KJ Lacey or Trey Owens. And I think Trey Owens has been QB4. So how many reps has he even gotten with second and first team? So you just have to be really careful now that we've had an injury to Arch. We've got to keep him upright. And so that also gives me hope that maybe Sark will change the offense, because his jersey was pretty clean outside of that hit in overtime. And that was mostly because he got a little greedy. He's like, I'm gonna keep going, So that I think you can coach out and be like, hey man, don't get greedy. We're about to have a bye week. Don't do anything stupid, But for the offensive line, they gotta really know, okay, no matter who's starting, we're a hit away from chaos. So those to me are my 3 main keys. I absolutely think Texas can win this game, but we're going to have our hands full. So
yeah, we're talking Vandy at Texas with Michelle Lynn. Thank you guys that are in the chat. Thank you for the guys that have dropped comments and questions, whatever. We sure do appreciate it. Tell your friends, jump in. We're talking keys to the game. I got stop the run. I feel like this Vanderbilt team very much, whether it's Pavia or the rest of their running backs, The offense kind of goes as the ground game goes. I think if you can slow them down offensively, or slow them down in the running game, you can do all those things you talked about earlier with Pavia. Force him to throw the ball. Don't let him win the game with his legs. Don't let him win plays with his legs, because that's where I feel like he's the most comfortable. If he can move around in the pocket and find a guy open, that's what he wants to do. Or if you put him in a situation where you're in man coverage and everybody's got their back turned to him, he'll just take off and run. We saw him do that against, I believe it was LSU, scored a long touchdown that way. So he's definitely a guy that if you get him in bad situations and you can keep him from running around, he's manageable. And I think to your point, Michelle, that's what Texas will ultimately have to do. But I think it starts with winning early when they're trying to run the football. Number two, I think we need to win the turnover battle. Vandy doesn't give it away. They also don't take it away. And I think in a game like this, possessions are going to kind of be a premium. Possessions are a premium anyway, but they really want to grind it out, and they want to take, they want to limit your possessions with their offense. And so you can't afford, if you're Texas, to be turning the ball over and sort of giving away an already limited set of possessions to a team that wants to smother you. I mean, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. Slow the game down, take the ball away, limit your ability to even be on offense. So definitely being ahead in the turnover battle seems huge to me in this one. And then I think win the red zone. Red zone opportunities, I think, are going to be huge in this one. Vandy really good in the red zone offensively. If you're the Texas defense and they get in the red zone, you got to hold them to field goals. You can't give up those scramble, run around, touchdown passes, or scramble, run around, touchdown runs. You really got to make them kick field goals. And then I think on the opposite end of that, Texas got to figure out a way, which we haven't been great at it this year, to get touchdowns when they get in the red zone. So those are my three keys: stop the run, win the turnover battle, win the red zone. I think if Texas can do those three things consistently, I think they can win this game. And I don't. Sounds crazy. I see a world where Texas could win this game pretty comfortably if they do those things.
Ooh,
yeah,
I mean,
I'm not talking blowout.
I'm just talking. Okay, I need some of that orange Kool-Aid.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I almost wish this team would just pick, be bad or be good. Stop doing both at the same time, because I don't know what I'm supposed to do every week when I talk about this team. But yeah, so those are my three keys. Let's get down to the predictions. Michelle, ladies first. What do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
I think it's going to be a close game. I think Texas wins 23-20. It's going to be a rock battle. And I think in the fourth quarter, though, both teams are going to get some points on the board because both defenses are going to be a little gassed. So, but yeah, I think Texas comes out on top 23-20, and then we get to go into the bye week. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, I think for me, this one's a tough one for, a lot of, even if we knew 100% Arch was going to play, this was a tough one. The fact that it's still kind of up in the air what goes on with Arch. I don't know what to think of, I don't know anything about the new protocol. The protocol when I played was, can you stand up and can you see? Okay, you can play. It's different now. They've got all these steps they got to go through, and they've got to meet certain steps by certain times to be able to play on Saturday. I would assume he's pretty far along in the protocol if they're, if he's allowed to go out onto the field and participate in anything at all. So,
and drive. He's driving.
Yeah, and drive. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what that looks like anymore. This will probably be like the most I don't know, like the most hands-on, like look-on situation from a protocol perspective that I've ever paid attention to. So it'll be interesting to see, like, how that progresses. I think the thing to remember too with like brain injuries and things like that is they're really unpredictable. He could be doing well right now and kind of regress. He could kind of regress a little bit tomorrow and then just come back the next day and be in a great situation. So you kind of just don't know. So as I look at this game, I'm just going to assume he's not playing. And because of that, I really like Caldwell. He's been really limited, but I think he shows just a lot of poise to me. Like he's been in a couple of situations where it wasn't easy for him to come in the game, and he's kind of like man, I'm trying to think of like a quarterback that to compare him to, just in terms of his like, I don't give a damn. It just seems like he doesn't give a damn. Like he's very confident in his ability to throw the ball. He's not second guessing himself. He sees what he sees. He knows what he's been coached to do, and he kind of just lets it rip. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of refreshing to see that a little. And I think that's just experience. He's been around. He's done it for a long time. I really look for Texas to spread the field out. Like, I mean, I know I said I hope that happens. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to spread the field out a little more this week than we've usually seen, and I think they're going to try to run the ball some more. I think we'll see Texas maybe have a different commitment to the running game because they're going to pick up some yards because everybody's not going to be crammed into the middle of the field like a, I don't know, 1980s junior high game or something like that. But I definitely agree with you. It's going to be low scoring. But I think behind like a really amped up Texas crowd, because Texas has not seen their home team at home in a very, very long, over a month. I think you're going to see this Texas crowd be really good at 11 a.m. at Darrell K. Royal. So I think Texas wins this one 23-16. And I don't have any sort of story behind that. Like I usually will go like, oh, I think the defense will make a play late, or I think, I don't have a story. I just feel like that's kind of what's going to happen on Saturday. And again, our prediction not far off really. So I think it'll be one of those deals probably where Vandy has the ball late. I would love to. You know what? I don't know if my heart can take that. You know what I'm going to say? We got the ball late and we just figure out a way to run it out. Yeah, we just figure out a way to run the clock out, whatever clock is left. And Texas gets it done, and Sean doesn't have to have a heart attack again on Saturday. We'll see. But that's what I've got, Michelle. We will see. Check out the scroll on the bottom of the screen. You can see our social media. You can see Michelle in social. Michelle is a really good follow. Michelle's been picking up the pace with the videos, and they're pretty awesome. So I think I'm just going to start. I think I said this on Sunday. I'm going to start videoing myself and just sending it to Michelle. Let her work her magic on making it good, because I probably can't do it near as well as she can. So
I'll let you know what tools I use. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and there's been so many different stories going on with Texas football. So I've been having fun with it. So
I've got tools. I just don't have patience like you have, and probably creativity and stuff like that. But anyway, it's all scrolling along the bottom right now. You can find out where to follow Michelle there on Twitter and where to listen to us on podcasts and all that good stuff. We'll be back Sunday. Michelle, you think you're going to be able to join us Sunday for 10 Thoughts?
I think so. I will get back to you though, hopefully.
Yeah, no sweat.
Hopefully we're celebrating.
Yeah, hopefully we're celebrating. So anyway, I'll be back for 10 Thoughts Sunday morning, 10 o'clock a.m. Central. So join us there. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thanks for your interaction. We love that stuff. Let's see. We got one more. Thanks, Michelle and Sean. Enjoyed your podcast. I appreciate it, Joe. There's Joe right there. Joe's been an avid listener. We need more Joes. So if you want to be a Joe out there, everybody should want to be a Joe right now. But yeah, thanks everybody. You guys have a great night, and if you're in Austin or you're going to the game, be ready, get tuned up, get in there and cheer for those Texas Longhorns. Let's bring home a win against those Vandy Commodores. You guys have a good night. Y'all get hooked.
Hook 'em.